Welcome back to the Black Lion Blueprint. In this episode, we are talking about how to get in the best shape of your life in the next 90 days and beyond. Because again, here we're not about quick fixes, we are about establishing habits that will last you a lifetime and really set you up for a lifetime of health and longevity and performing your best. So, when I say get in the best shape of your life, it's not just about looks, it's about how you feel and also how you perform in life, sport, and your career. Okay. So just remember that we're talking about the feel, how your joints feel, how you feel as far as your energy levels throughout the day, emotionally, because that all ties into this whole entire concept. So without further ado, let's hop right into the points here. So I have 10 points written down here, and I may throw in some extra ones. So the first thing is understand your purpose. So, regardless of whether or not we have the best training program, we have the best diet in the world, and we have the best recovery protocols, if we don't understand why we are implementing these things, it will be very hard for us to actually stick to doing those things. I've seen it so often, and I am a victim of falling into the trap myself. I've done so many different training programs, and the reason behind it, some of it was ego, some of it was insecurity. Some of it just didn't have like a legitimate purpose that I defined for myself. I allowed kind of societal pressures to tell me what my purpose should be when it came to my fitness goals and getting in shape for my life. So, you have to understand your purpose, or else it will be very hard for you to justify why you should keep doing the thing that you are doing. Okay. So, if you don't remember anything else, remember that when you define and you understand what your purpose is behind why you are doing the things you're doing in your fitness journey, this will allow you to have staying power. This will allow you to justify why you are doing these things so nobody else can come in and say, oh, you should be doing this instead. Or why are you doing that? That doesn't sound right. You won't be thrown off so easily because you know and you've defined for yourself what that purpose actually is. Okay. Number two, know yourself. So, knowing yourself, so your habits, your mental blocks, and also your resources. So, your habits. What habits do you have that are in, contradiction to the fitness goals that you want? Getting into the best shape of your life. What habits do you already have that are in opposition of that? Do you stay up late at night and snack and watch a show or watch a movie or something like that? That was a problem for me. I'm speaking from experience. So, do you have like an issue with staying up late at night when you know you need to get to sleep because that's going to support your fitness goals as well? And we'll get into that later. But you need to know yourself and the habits that are in opposition to the things that you need to establish in order to accomplish your fitness goals and get into the best shape of your life. Okay. So, the mental blocks here, do you talk down to yourself? Do you have a lot of just negative outlooks on things? Do you have a fixed mindset instead of, let's say, the growth mindset, right? Do you believe that you can change these things, or do you believe that it's set in stone? It's very hard for you to make this change if you don't believe that things can change or your mindset can change. If you just think, oh, this is just the way that I am, and if it doesn't fit this, then if what I'm trying to establish doesn't fit my mindset, then I won't be able to do it at all. So you're trying to kind of find something that fits your mindset instead of kind of cultivating a mindset that allows you to accomplish whatever task is in front of you that will help you reach your fitness goal. So the other thing is resources too. So you have to know the resources that you have access to. Do you actually have access to a gym, a full blown out gym facility with the machines and the cardio equipment and dumbbells, barbells, all those things? Or do you just have a pair of dumbbells at home and a bench, or one kettlebell at home and a bench, or just your body weight? Do you stay out in the middle of nowhere and that is the only equipment that you have? So you have to understand the resources that you have available to you, as well as food quality, right? Do you stay in an area that really doesn't have like good quality food near you? So it makes it very challenging to get quality food. Do you stay in an environment that allows you to, get organic, grass fed, farm fresh food. You know what I mean? So the resources that you have available, do you have coaching available, right? Do you have coaches in your vicinity to go to and get training from? Do you have a gym that you can go to that may have trainers that can guide you? The environment, like the environment is huge as well. And I didn't actually put that one in here, but if we're talking about resources, do you have people that are actually supporting you in your fitness journey? That is one of the the biggest roadblocks that I've seen with a lot of people that, they'll have people in their lives that they say, "Oh, that's good. You should, yeah, go for it." But at the same time, they're in their environment, in your environment, and they're doing things in your space that doesn't help you or make your job easier when you're trying to establish these goals, right? So if you're setting up your environment at home when it comes to nutrition, and all they're doing is bringing in snacks in the house, and that is one of your weaknesses, right? You know yourself. If there's snacks in the house, you're more than likely going to eat it. You're more than likely going to justify why you can eat it. Willpower only goes so far. You can't resist that temptation for that long, especially if you're trying to establish new habits and a multitude of different habits at the same time. So if they're not supporting your habit by, one, not bringing that stuff in the house, two, not trying to come along this journey with you in supporting that aspect, and three, like, I would just say they don't really take seriously what you're trying to do. And that could be partly on you as well, because you just might have just blown it off and said, like, "Oh, hey, I'm just doing this little fitness thing. And I'm just gonna see and you're kind of just laughing it off. And they're just like, oh yeah, that's cool. But if you tell them like you're taking it seriously, you really want to accomplish this fitness goal, you really know that it's gonna impact your life for the better, as well as if that's your significant other, your relationship with that person. If you have kids, how you're able to show up for your kids and that energy around that. If you're taking care of a sick parent or something like that, how you're able to have that energy to be able to take care of them the best way that you possibly can, or just in your job, if you deal with people on a day-to-day basis, and if you're burnt out, if you don't have the energy, if you're having crashes because your nutrition isn't right, or your body is all achy and in pain, and you just don't have what it takes in order to sustain that, because your body isn't in the position that it needs to be in order to support that level of output. Then it's going to be very challenging for you to again keep up with that. And getting back to the point, because I kind of went off on a tangent there, it's going to be hard for that person in your environment to believe that this is something that you're really taking seriously. I'll put it that way. So sometimes it can come back on us, and we need to establish some boundaries when it comes to that stuff too. And that's another point, kind of going off, but just establishing boundaries and not being rude about those boundaries, but just saying like, this is something that's very important to you, and here are some things, and try and talk through it with that person that's in your environment. Okay, getting on to the next thing. Reduce the friction. Reduce the friction. If you want to get in the best shape of your life, you have to reduce the friction to doing the daggone thing. Okay. You have to reduce the friction to getting up and doing the workout. How do we reduce the friction of getting to a workout? Do we have equipment at home that we can just say, okay, I'm just going to work out at home? Not saying we have to go to a trainer, not saying that we have to go to a gym, not saying we have to get out and go outside and run if it's really cold, or if it's really hot, or if it's raining, then we have an excuse. But if we have our equipment at home, and then we know we can do our workouts in the house, boom, that makes it less friction in order for you to actually get up and get going and do that thing, right? The other thing is this whole, and I'm not going to harp on this because I could go on a long tangent about this one, but how many days a week you work out. If people have told you that you need to work out every day of the week, or you need to work out at least 6 days a week, and you need to do cardio every day, Oh my goodness, they are lying to you. It does not take all of that in order to get in the best shape of your life. It does not. I've seen it work. It has worked for me. It's worked for a ton of the people that I've worked with, and it's worked for people that I've seen not do that. Okay. So you do not have to work out 7 days a week, 6 days a week, do cardio every day. You don't have to do all that stuff. Okay. So just know first and foremost that that is not what you have to do. Sometimes people kind of throw that thing out there because that's what they've done and that's what worked for them. Or the bodybuilders are they kind of dominate the fitness industry, so to speak. And they show that, in order to get in shape, that you have to do long cardio and you also have to do all these body part split workouts. And it's just one way of doing it. And that's not the way that you have to do it. And especially if you don't have the lifestyle set up to support that, again, that's a lot of friction, right? So reduce the friction and prioritize making it easy for yourself. So we'll get into what you can do as far as making that less friction. So same thing with the nutrition. I said setting up your environment. So reducing the friction with your nutrition. If you don't have the bad stuff in the house, you don't you don't have to worry about falling into that temptation, right? So it'd be very hard, very challenging to eat 12 apples than it would to be able to eat a whole pack of cookies, right? I'm pretty sure everyone could agree with me on that one. So just understand that you have to reduce that friction in order to help yourself, you know, accomplish the fitness goals that you want to accomplish when it comes to getting in the best shape and look and feel and perform your best. All right. So now, number 4, prioritize strength training. So this goes without saying, you should be lifting weights. Women, you're not going to get bulky. Guys, it's not all about the muscles. It's about also function. Okay. So it's strength training is going to allow you, one, to build muscle or at least maintain the muscle that you have. One, so your joints can feel really good and not ache all over the place. Two, muscle mass is very conducive to having a nice figure, right? So if your muscles are more developed on your arms will look nice as you start to lose that weight instead of it just kind of looking like, like a flabby piece of steak. I don't know. And also, it's a very minor detail, but your metabolism, right? Like your metabolism is a little bit higher. It's a very small like percentage, but it is a little bit higher, so it does count. All right. As well as strength training helps, with your hormonal balance also. So when you do strength training, you do stimulate your hormones in a way that just helps balance everything out a lot better. And so when it balances things out, you can reduce your overall stress levels as well when it comes to, your whole entire strength training. All right. And then also, if we're trying to age gracefully, and again, I said get in the best shape of your life for the next 90 days and beyond. And if we're trying to age gracefully, if we have muscle mass on our bodies and we maintain that muscle mass, then we will reduce those things that tend to show up when we age. Saggy skin. I hear it all the time. Oh, look at my arms. They're kind of flabby and they're just shaking all over the place. I get that from so many of my clients and my patients. But then also like those falls, right? So the falls, like if you have more strength, more muscle mass, those little falls won't cause you to end up dislocating your shoulder or, breaking your hip or whatnot. Like I've heard so many people like minor falls. I'm not talking about falling off of a ladder, but just minor falls. If we're trying to age gracefully, that is very important, right? So we just build more resilience in our bodies, and then our bodies just feel better overall. Okay, because we wear our bodies down less when we're doing certain tasks or repetitive work, especially if you have a job that you do repetitive work in and you prioritize strength training, that repetitive work becomes less intensive and less strenuous on your body because you have built up more capacity to perform those things. And when you have that higher capacity, you feel less beat down in your body. So that again, it plays into your mental, your emotional state. It plays into how burnt out you actually feel, your joints, everything. So understand strength training, stop avoiding it. If you're avoiding it, if you think that cardio is the go-to thing, stop it. Just just stop it. You can do your cardio. I don't care. Like that's perfect. I do care. But you can do your cardio. That's fine. But make sure you do your strength training. Okay? Make sure you do your strength training. Prioritize strength training. Master your step routine. Wait, hold on. That's why I wrote this down. Master your sleep routine. I said step routine. Master your sleep routine. Okay. So it's we do need sleep. All right. These people that are out here talking about, oh yeah, I run on 5 hours of sleep a night. I run on 6 hours of sleep. Your body needs sleep. There's way too many studies out there that show that you need at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. When you age, yes, sometimes you may sleep a little less, or you take more naps too. But just understand, we need 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, uninterrupted sleep. So it's not about, okay, I need to get these hours. It's mastering your sleep routine. Because if you do the same thing that you've always done before bed, and that routine isn't conducive to good quality sleep, then it's going to be hard for you, even if you do decide to get in bed at an hour that will allow you to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, because our body has to go through a certain process in order to be in a restful state. So, one is your environment. Prioritize that environment, right? So, your sleep routine. Is it cool in the house? Am I getting in a dark and quiet room? Or am I getting stimulated before bed, right? Are you watching some news that's very stimulating? Are you watching a show that's getting you excited? Are you reading something that's very stimulating? You need to think about getting into reading something that's maybe more relaxing, maybe listening to some calming music. Maybe if it's just a easy conversation with a loved one, or if it's just sitting in the quiet in the dark. You have to come up with your sleep routine, and this goes for eating as well. So when it comes to your sleep routine, eating plays a big factor into that. So do you eat right before bed? Do you eat maybe an hour before bed, a heavy meal? So you have to make sure that you're keeping that meal further away from your bedtime, your set bedtime that you have for yourself, right? Give or take 30 minutes or so. So that way it's not interrupting your sleep. So you have to master your sleep routine. Don't worry about like the biohacks or anything like that. Master that sleep routine. Am I setting up my environment? Is it cool? Is it dark? Is it quiet? Am I overstimulating myself before bed? Am I reading something stimulating? Am I watching something stimulating? Am I having a very intense conversation? And and also your workout. Are you working out almost like an hour or 2 hours before bed and doing an intense workout? I'm talking about a hit workout or high intensity intervals, such as like really hard bike sprints or really hard row sprints. Or are you doing some type of CrossFit workout? Are you doing really heavy, intense strength training? All those things that are very intensive will reduce your sleep quality. One, because your body temperature is elevated, and it may stay elevated for a longer period of time before it starts to come back down. And your body temp has to go down in order for you to get really good quality sleep. So that's why it's very important for you to make sure that you are not doing these things that are counterproductive to you having really good quality sleep. Okay. So mealtime further away from bedtime. Okay. So your last meal of the day, 3 hours plus away from your bedtime. Your last workout of the day, 3 hours plus away from your bedtime. And and to try to make sure that it is a easier workout, not nothing that's very strenuous on your body. And if you're going to do a workout like that, try to do that maybe midday or maybe early in the morning or whatnot. Okay. All right, cool. Let's get into the next one, which is gradually eliminate highly processed foods. So you want to gradually eliminate these highly processed foods. The reason why you want to do this is because those processed foods, one, they come with a lot more in them than our body can actually process, can actually absorb. And if we're not actually able to absorb these fillers and we're not able to actually process these fillers, it just puts a lot of stress on our gut, making it harder for our gut to actually absorb the nutrients that we want and we need in order to feel good, look good, and perform at our best. So, and also those highly processed foods can just cause a lot of stomach distress and stomach discomfort as well. All right. And if our digestive health is not the best, then everything else falls in line with that as well. It'll be harder for us to maintain our muscle, maintain our energy levels, as well as lose the body fat that we want to lose also, or if it's build muscle. Okay. So we have to make sure that we're eliminating these highly processed foods, and they're just not good for our bodies in general. Okay. We can justify all day long. Oh, yeah. We got to live a little, and I would like a little ice cream here and there. And okay, fine, here and there. But does your here and there turn into you binge eating like a couple of pints of Ben and Jerry's ice cream while you're over here watching your favorite show or something like that? Does it turn into that? Okay. Again, knowing yourself, going back to that other point that I made, you have to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, man, I'm telling you, you'll fall into the traps that you've always fell into, and that will prevent you from reaching the fitness goals that you set out for yourself. Okay. So, eliminate these highly processed foods. All right. And I say gradually, again, gradually. Let's just say if all your meals that you eat are usually pretty highly processed, just start with one meal. Okay. For breakfast, I'm going to make sure I cook breakfast at home. Or for lunch, I'm going to make sure I make my lunch at home, and then I'm going to take it to work with me. Or for dinner, I'm going to make sure I eat dinner at home. Okay. Just one meal. And you can do that consistently for the week. And if that became easy for you, now you can try and do another meal. And then the next week, do another meal. Okay. So you don't have to make it to where, okay, I got to eliminate everything all at once, because that tends to just not last at all. All right. Now, explaining like highly processed food, I really would just say think about foods that are closer to its original state than, foods that are way further away from its original state. All right. So if let's just say you have you got apples, applesauce, and then you have, I don't know, apple pie or apple fritter or something like that, or apple fruit roll up, or apple gummies or something, right? So things that are further away from its original state would be the highly processed stuff. And things that are closer to its original state would be the minimally processed food, right? So that's what we want. We want the minimally processed stuff over the highly processed foods, okay? And again, over time, your body will start to feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll be able to perform a lot better when it comes to not only your mental capacity, but also physically in the gym. So whenever you're able to perform better in the gym, again, you can do more in the gym. You feel better, you can do more. Okay. So these things fall in line. It's just like thinking that, like going to the gym, doing the workout is so challenging, so hard. And a lot of times it's hard because one, your sleep is crap, two, your nutrition is crap, three, you're stressed, and then you don't have a support system. Like all those things that we just mentioned. You can make it a lot easier on yourself if you realize like these points here and you start to just gradually implement these things. All right. So the next thing that we're going to get into is protein tracking. So tracking your protein is very important. There's a lot of science around just how much protein we actually need in order to really maintain our muscle mass, or if it's trying to build a little bit more muscle mass. And in general, like maintaining your muscle mass is going to be one of the easiest things that you could potentially do. And especially if you're on the beginner to intermediate side, like building a little bit more muscle mass is going to be easier for you compared to if you strength trained, before. And if you're very experienced with strength training or resistance training or working out in general. But you're probably not watching this or listening to this podcast episode anyway. But protein tracking. So I don't mean you have to track it by using a scale. If you want to, if you're used to tracking things, like that's perfectly fine. But I mean making sure that you have a source of protein with each meal. So what do we mean by protein? We mean that foods that its macro makeup is predominantly protein. So that would be things like fish, poultry, such as turkey and chicken. So the fish would be like salmon, cod, shrimp, beef, lean sources of beef, your steaks, eggs. So all of these things are predominantly made up of this macro ratio of protein. So you want to prioritize having at least one source of those with each meal. Now, how do you know how much to eat? If you are calculating that by weighing it, it would be, if we're going by grams per pound of body weight, typically 0.8 to 1.0 grams per pound of body weight is about the average that most people can have in order to reach just about any fitness goal that you can potentially think of. Now, what we do for the portion sizes would be a palm-sized portion of protein, right? So on the precision nutrition scale, they usually use these hand portions, and these work very well. Why? Because you can take your hand portions with you, right? So if you know you need two palm-sized portions of protein with a meal, then you just be like, you can measure it out. Okay, one, two. All right, that looks like a ribeye steak to me. Boom, you're good to go. Or that looks like, two cups of ground beef or ground turkey, whatever it may be. So you can measure that out by just using the portion sizes with your hand. All right. But you want to prioritize protein, because protein is going to be one, it's going to be more energy consuming whenever you actually take it in as a nutrient. And then also it's going to help you maintain your strength and your muscle mass that you have and keep your joints healthy. So that way you don't have to worry about like feeling even worse than you did because you started training. And that's another thing that goes into that cycle that people kind of get into their head, and they're just like, oh my gosh, my joints feel worse. Why do your joints feel worse? Are you eating enough protein? Maybe, maybe not. Are you doing the wrong exercises? That's a whole nother story. But yeah, just like I said, like with this protein thing, are you eating enough protein in order to support the strength training that you're doing, in order to support the cardio that you're doing as well? All right. The next thing, number 8, is sustainable cardio training. Now, this one gets me because most people think in order to get into really good shape, they need to do a ton of cardio, which is not the case at all. You really don't need to do that much cardio at all. And when we're talking about cardio, we're talking about things that predominantly are very cyclical in nature. So such as biking, running, rowing, using a ski erg, all those things, Stairmaster, incline treadmill, elliptical, those things we're talking about for cardio. All right. So when it comes to this, sustainable cardio is cardio that you can do for an extended period of time without feeling winded. So if we're doing long distance biking, then we should be able to bike for 30 minutes plus. If we're doing long distance on the treadmill, and typically, unless you're a runner, a very experienced runner, I usually don't recommend people trying to implement like long distance running as their cardio, because they are really beating down their joints, and that's not going to be sustainable. Usually most people, when they get into it, they hate it because they're like, oh, I have to run in order to lose this weight. And in my head, I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to run. You can get on a rower. You can get on an indoor bike. You can get on the incline treadmill or the Stairmaster. You don't have to run. You don't have to bang up your legs, your hip joints, your knee joints, your ankle joints, your lower back. You don't have to bang up those things in order to get into the best shape of your life. Okay. So just understand that, like, you don't have to do this crazy amount of running cardio in order to get into the best shape of your life. Running is not, quote unquote, the best cardio that you could potentially do. Now, the reason why a lot of people like it, because they say somewhat of a runner's high. I think that's a lie. But but they say they have a runner's high, as well as it's something that you can just get out and do, right? But again, if you're a little heavier, you're not as experienced, maybe you have more muscle mass on you, it's very hard on you, then it may not be for you, okay? And you can start off, yeah, you can do a little bit of running, right? Maybe you do some run intervals, some start stops. So you do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, or you do a minute on, a minute off, and you do that for a couple of cycles, and you do just enough in order to, get yourself breathing, and then call it with that cardio, and then just go and do your strength training, or have your strength training done beforehand before you do that, right? Simple as that. And then for the remainder of the week, for your cardio that you do, you hop on a bike or you get on a rower, because those are going to be low impact, easier on your joints, and you're not going to hate your life because you're just like, when is this stuff going to end? And we're trying to do this for 90 days and beyond, not just for 90 days. And then, yes, thank God, I can stop running. That's not the purpose. Okay. So the sustainable cardio. All right. So if we're doing sustainable cardio, we're doing, let's just say again, 30 minutes plus. That's pretty easy. and we have a little bit of breathing in there, but we can continuously talk while we're doing it. If we're doing cardio intervals, we're doing, again, if it may be 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And again, those intervals should be sustainable, but they're going to be a little bit higher intensity than our conditioning work. But by the end of it, we should say, oh yeah, I can do more of those intervals. I was breathing a little bit heavier, yes, but then when we come back to it and do it another day, we should be able to keep the same pace that we kept before. Okay. As well as each interval should have about the same pace and rate on it without any strenuous fatigue. Okay. So, and again, in order to do some of these things, you have to have the strength in order to do it. So that goes back to my point about prioritizing strength training. If you don't have strong enough legs, running is going to be very fatiguing for you, and especially if you are a bigger person. Biking, especially if you're trying to do faster intervals, especially at a higher resistance, it's going to be very challenging for you as well. Comparatively speaking, it's not going to be as aerobic as you would like it to be. So that's why the strength training, again, is important. Now, we're going to go on to our next point here, point number 9, which is eat for your goals. So having the right intent behind your eating. So eat for your goals, okay? So if your goal is to get into the best shape of your life as far as performance goes, do not restrict your eating because you need the energy from that food that you're taking in, okay? If your goal is to lose weight, but you want to maintain your size, do not go out here and restrict your eating completely and just be like, oh, okay, well, I can't eat protein, or I can't eat 3 meals a day, or I have to reduce my protein a lot. You still need to eat enough. So what the simplest version of this eating style in order to lose weight without tracking anything would literally be to eat until you're about 75 to 80% full, right? Okay, I'm throwing out percentages here, but just you get where I'm coming from. Don't eat till you're stuffed. Eat till you're about 75 to 80% full. Now, the other thing with that is if your goal is to just really, feel good in general in your body, you just have to eat enough, okay? So just eat enough, not too much, not too little. Eat enough to where you feel like you have enough energy for your workouts, for your day-to-day task, and you'll be good to go, okay? And you'll know that intuitively as time goes on, and your body will tell you. That's the other thing about like getting to a point with your eating that is more intuitive than anything else, right? If you aren't eating enough, your body will tell you by 1, the hunger cues, 2, your energy levels, and then also with your workouts. Do your workouts feel very fatiguing, more intense? And again, saying everything else is fine, let's say like stress levels are good, sleep is good, and you didn't do any other physically demanding tasks. Yeah, it comes down to the nutrition, right? So eat for your goals and not the other way around. Don't just, again, if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to perform better, but you're also thinking about like, ooh, I don't like the way my abs look, I need to reduce how much I'm taking in, then your performance will suffer because you're not taking in enough food in order to support your performance. Because in the back of your mind, you're thinking about the way that you look, but your goal is actually to perform better, right? All right, cool. So point number 10, full body resistance training. I love full body resistance training. If you've been around here for a while, you know that I love full body resistance training. So full body resistance training, it looks like doing upper body and lower body with all in the same workout. Okay. That means your pressing exercises, your pulling exercises, your squats, your lunges, your bending motions, all within the same workout. The reason why I love this is because it's very flexible. It's very flexible. So you can stick with it. If you go to travel, you can still stick with your full body workouts because it only takes 3 days a week or even 2 days a week, depending on where you are with your goal, what your goal actually is as well. It doesn't take that much. I have athletes who do their resistance training 2 days a week, full body resistance training. They're still maintaining their size, or some of them even gaining size. They're improving their strength and their performance. They're also being able to, they have the energy in order to do their other physically demanding tasks that they need to do. I have people who travel a ton that do 3 days a week of full body resistance training, along with a little bit of cardio on those days. And they're able to adjust their workouts based on where they are. They're going on a cruise. Oh, they're using the cruise ship's gym for their full body workout because they have everything that they need in their full body workout. Um, and it's not like they have to use these very specific set of equipment because they need to get their lat in a certain way and in a certain angle. So it's very flexible. That's the point blank period. It's very flexible. It doesn't require you to work out every single day of the week, again, because now it's more sustainable. Especially, let's just say you have a lot more going on in life, just know that you only need 3 days. So if one of those days are on the weekend and then you have 2 more days within the week, you can squeeze those in. I'm sure you can. Or if it's just one more day during the week, you can squeeze it in and then do your easy cardio wherever you can fit that in, right? So prioritize full body resistance training when it comes to your workout. So when I say full body resistance training, I'm talking about doing a push, doing a pull, doing a lunge, doing a bending motion, a squatting motion, a core motion within that, and then some locomotion, which would be like some cyclical stuff on the bike, or maybe it's some run intervals if that's on a treadmill, or row intervals or whatnot. Okay, so doing all of that stuff within one workout. And if you want the complete breakdown of that, you can go to my full body workout guide. And it pretty much gives you the breakdown on how you need to execute that. And you get a guide that comes along with that. So you can watch that episode or listen to the episode if you're listening to this. And that'll give you the whole entire breakdown, because this video is already, this episode is already going way longer than I thought it would. But obviously, we had a lot to cover on this one. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So those are the 10 things that I have. Like, if you want to get in the best shape of your life, if you want to look, feel, and perform your best for the next 90 days and beyond, prioritize those things, man. Make sure you understand your purpose, the reason why you're doing what you're doing. You know yourself. You reduce friction. You prioritize strength training. You master your sleep routine. You gradually eliminate highly processed foods. You track your protein. You perform sustainable cardio. You eat for your goals and not the other way around. And then you prioritize full body resistance training. So if you still have like some confusion around this and you want some type of guidance with your training program right now, or you're trying to figure out what you should start with, you can schedule a call with me by using the link in the description on the YouTube channel or in the show notes if you're listening to this through audio only. And the call is free. And we'll just go over what you're doing right now for your training and how we can change that up in order for you to actually get the best results that you can possibly get moving forward. Okay. And again, if you're not ready for a call, again, you can go and download that full body workout guide, and that'll give you everything that you need, everything that we discussed in here, as far as the resistance training, the strength training, and to get you rolling, and head in the right direction. All right. So that is it for today. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.